Hello there, folks. I'm Joe from Needle in the Groove. Welcome back. The last few videos I did were about a vertigo swirl. I think I did 4. There's another one to come, which will be the last one for a while. But this time we're doing something about jazz rock fusion, which is another one of my favorite genres, together with prog rock. And I promised it some time ago, but you know what it's like, getting around to do it. So I have selected 7 for this occasion, but they're not the usual suspects, the usual sort of very well-known ones, like, for example, the Mahavishnu Orchestra or Weather Report or what have you. Not because they're no good. I mean, they're brilliant and I've got them all, but you've seen them many times. I wanted to dig a little bit deeper into my collection and introduce something to you that perhaps you haven't seen before or heard before. Or if you do know them, I'd like to hear from you if you got them, or if you, whatever, I'd like to hear. But before I start, there was an intriguing question that is being asked on many, many occasions. What is the difference between jazz rock and fusion? Well, it's a good one, isn't it? So I'll give you my take for what it's worth, So my take is, fusion is more jazz with some rock elements, and jazz rock is more rock with some jazz rock with some jazz elements. But I don't think that's enough really to distinguish between the two of them. The main reason, or the main difference for me, is fusion is largely instrumental. It's quite rare that you actually find singing vocals in fusion. It does happen, yes. I mean, Chick Corea, on 1 or 2 of his albums, there is vocals there. But by and large, really, no. But in jazz rock, almost always there is vocals. I think that's the main difference. Just think about it. And but if you have other takes or other distinguishable differences, again, I'd like to hear from you, because I'm really interested in it. So jazz rock probably precedes fusion in its, when it came about. I would say some of the early acts were Blood, Sweat and Tears. I think around about 1967 or so. They started doing jazz rock with the great David Clayton Thomas. He wasn't there right at the beginning, but he was probably their main, best-known singer, with a booming voice. And Chicago, of course, the early Chicago's was jazz rock, before they became balladeers later on. And they have some really good stuff. I mean, Chicago 3, or is it 2, double album. It's a fantastic album, really very worth listening to it. In UK, we had people like Colosseum. That was jazz rock. That was singing on it, etc. Fusion came a little later. Who were the early sort of acts of fusion? In a Silent Way by Miles Davis is cited as one of the earliest ones, 1969, followed by Bitches Brew in 1970. You also had Tony Williams, who was in Miles Davis as a drummer. He did a couple of very early fusion albums as well. And one of my favorites, which is Larry Coryell. Well, he's also a daddy of fusion. I mean, he was there early, before Mahavishnu and before Return to Forever and Weather Report and what have you. So anyway, just a little bit of background for you. Let's get on with it. Right, 7 largely unknown albums. The first one is by a band called Full Circle. Full Circle is a fusion band from the 80s. On this one, there is the guest singer Gilberto Gil. He's a Brazilian, very well-known singer, and he was, I think, also a minister in Brazil, actually. This has got Latin vibes. It's not real through and through fusion, but it's a lovely album, and this is the 3rd one they made in 1991. The other two are also very good. And these are actually fairly cheap to be had. So if you look around, listen to it, if you like it, you can get this for tenner. Yeah, so full circle. This is a very unknown band, the Numa band, NUMA. It's a one-off release from 1980. Again, it's got a very strong brass section. It's not through and through fusion, but obviously it is in that direction. It's jazzy. It's got quieter rhythms. It's a very, very nice guitar played by a guy called Ernie Denov. Don't ask me who he is, I don't know, but I think he deserves more attention because he's so bloody good, this guy. And the saxophone player is also brilliant, by a guy called Jack Barron. Again, I don't really know him. I can't really put him anywhere from any other records that I've got. This one at times reminds me a little bit of Chuck Mangione, sort of, his play with that kind of rhythm. Another one of my very, very favorite artists, Chuck Mangione. So it's in that sort of direction. This one is an absolute belter, this one. This is, as you can see, it's Freddie Hubbard, Stanley Tarantine live, but there is a stellar cast. Ron Carter, Herbie Hancock, Jack DeJohnette, Eric Gale. That's not enough. There's also Herbie Hancock on it. This is fantastic, guys. I mean, honestly, this is fusion. This is on the CTI label. It's two side-long tracks, just two tracks, one on each side, and it's like highly, highly recommendable. Freddie Hubbard, by the way, is my favorite fusion trumpet player. Followed by, okay, he's number one. Man, sorry, I forgot. I've got several trumpet players. Oh yeah, the Japanese Terumasa Hino. Another is my second favorite trumpet player. Talking about Japan, I will do a separate video about jazz funk fusion from Japan because there's so much strength and depth there. I didn't want to mix them up with these. It'll be a separate video, in due course, I'd say. The next one is much better known band in fusion, which is Return to Forever, my favorite fusion band actually. But this one, nobody ever speaks about this album. They all talk about Romantic Warrior or the Light as a Feather or what have you. But this is I mean, that sends me into a different orbit. It's so, dreamy. It's just fantastic. It's got, this is actually the last album they made, the last studio album they made in 1977, which I think it was the 6th. But on this one, there is tracks like The Musician, which is very good. The other one that's well known is So Long Mickey Mouse. He always played that in his live concerts. The Endless Night. Stanley Clarke's on it. Joe Farrell, fantastic, saxophonist and flute player. And Gail Moran does some lyrics on this, some singing. She is Chick Corea's wife. Can you say is or was? I mean, he's dead, but she's still alive. Music Magic is this has sent me into a little different orbit. I mean, it is so. I mean, this must be in my top 10 of anything that I've got. It's superb, and but it's underrated. Nobody ever talks about this album. So check it out. It really is something else. And whilst we are at Return to Forever, let's talk about a solo album by his great bass player Stanley Clarke. This is his first solo album. He was still, see there, he was still calling himself Stan Clark back then. From then on, it was always Stanley. Until today, he's Stanley. But back then, he was Stan Clark. This, I mean, admittedly, it could be another Return to Forever album. It's very, very similar to what the early, maybe 2 or 3 Return to Forever albums. That's what's wrong with it. Absolutely nothing. I absolutely love it. Again, you know, his eponymous album, his self-titled, is the one that people rave about, and it's very good, admittedly. But nobody talks about this one. And this deserves recognition, lads, honestly. It was his first one from 1973. And he's got on it Lenny White, you know, Pat Martino. What I really like about this is some people don't like any sort of singing at all in fusion. This one's got a bit. It's not proper singing. It's more like, yeah, I don't know what you call it, but check it out. Dee Bridgewater does that, and she is amazing. And you know, I didn't know much about her other than the name. And when I bought this album and I listened to those to those vocals, I thought, wow. So I went and bought some of her solo albums because she's so amazing. Number 2 favorite singer after Flora Purim, in fusion, of course. There's a guy, little known, a guy called Andy Bay. He also sings on it, and he's got this booming baritone voice. You know, maybe it's an acquired taste, but I absolutely love it. You know, it just goes so well with this. Amazing album. Something a bit different. Alpha Centauri. You know, that's very, very, very unknown. Alpha Centauri is a one-off album by a Danish jazz rock fusion band. These guys are not very well known at all, even the musician in it. Maybe Palle Mikkelborg, I might have heard of him. I think he plays the trumpet. But this one is from 1981. It's pure fusion. It's absolutely amazing fusion. There's some great guitar play by this guy called Bjarne Rupe. Never heard of him, but amazing guitarist. Style-wise, this is very much like Pat Metheny stuff. If you like Pat Metheny, you will love this. Alpha Centauri. And the last one is by a guy called David Pritchard. Again, he's not a household name. He's a guitarist, fusion guitarist. This is called, is it called City Dreams, or is City Dreams the label? I'm not sure actually. I think it might be just, no, City Dreams is the label. No, it's not. It's called City Dreams. The label is Inner City. Sorry, just mix it up a little bit, but it doesn't matter really. What can I tell you about him? Well, he's made 2 albums in the 70s. This is the second one from 1979. And on this one you will find Gary Burton. Sorry, no, it's not on this one. He played with Gary Burton in the past, and in a band called Contraband, which is also another really good unknown fusion album, worth checking out. I bought it recently, but on here you have Patrice Rushen, and she really plays amazing on this album. Freddie Hubbard, again, my favorite trumpetist, is on this. And you also find Chester Thompson on this, you know, the very famous drummer who had a stint with the Mothers, Frank Zappa and the Mothers, and also with a short stint with Weather Report. But this is proper fusion, guys. I mean, this is amazing. So yeah, those are the 7. So this is it for now. So let me know about, you know, the difference between jazz rock and fusion. What do you think about it? or anything you have to say about these albums, you know, I'd love to hear from you. So thanks very much for listening and for watching. Next time. Bye.